Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Majora Boy, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2018 iPad Pro and answering the question that many of you have been asking on the internet. Can the new iPad Pro finally be a laptop replacement? So as always, I'm going to be dividing this video into 3 parts. The overview, my personal usage and thoughts, and the verdict. This year, design-wise, Apple has completely redesigned the new iPad Pro. So the previous design was very similar to your regular iPads. It had the iconic home button, some pretty thick bezels, and had a good curved body. However, this year Apple has removed the home button from the iPad Pro for an almost edge-to-edge display, and rather than having a curved body, has completely squared off the edges and sides of the new iPad Pro. Not only has the design of the display changed, but the position of the smart connector has also been changed. Now rather than having it on the bottom of the iPad Pro, it has it on the back, which allows the new smart keyboard folio to cover the back and front of the device. Now I will be talking about the smart keyboard folio and the new Apple Pencil in a later part of the video. When it comes to the specs of this display, the iPad Pro has a beautiful liquid retina display which has a wide P3 color gamut with a resolution of 2388 x 1688 and a pixel density of 264. The display is fully laminated, has a new anti-reflective coating, and has Apple's awesome True Tone technology, which basically adapts the screen lighting to the lighting of your surrounding, which puts less strain on your eyes when consuming media. I personally turn it off during video editing because then it allows me to see the true colors of my video, which allows me to do accurate color grading. It also has Apple's iconic ProMotion technology, which gives the display a refresh rate of 120 Hz. Basically what that means is that the iPad Pro's display refreshes 120 frames per second, which gives this buttery smooth experience while scrolling through Safari or navigating the home screen. Now you might be wondering, what is the relation between a super responsive display and productivity? Well, if you're an artist, then you'll definitely know how this display helps your work, as the 120 Hz refresh rate cuts down the latency of the Apple Pencil, which makes the Apple Pencil really responsive and accurate, giving you an experience similar to that of pen and paper. Now what separates the iPad Pro from its regular iPad counterpart is the hardware. The iPad Pro 11-inch from the inside is a beast. It has the Apple A12X Bionic chip in there, which is an 8-core CPU with 4 high-performance cores and 4 low-performance cores. It also has a stupidly powerful 7-core GPU in there, which allows you to play every mobile game out there at max settings, and has 4 GB of RAM. The iPad Pro comes in 4 storage options: 64 GB, 256 GB, 512 GB, and 1 TB. I'll be talking about gaming on the iPad Pro in a later part of the video. Now one thing the iPad Pro is always known for is its awesome speakers. The new 11-inch has the same quad speaker setup, 2 on each side, just like its previous models. And let me tell you, these speakers are just amazing. They are really loud, but at the same time give out some really crisp audio. So let's have a sound test. In this roller coaster ride. In this roller coaster ride. Now every Pro device needs a Pro level port, and this year Apple has finally changed the port on the iPad from Lightning to USB Type-C, which means your new iPad Pro can connect to a multitude of other devices. But there is a catch to it. The Type-C port can't be used with every USB device out there, and I'll go more in depth about this in my personal thoughts and usage segment. However, this year we do not get any headphone jack on the new iPad Pro. When it comes to the cameras on the new Pro, they are really good. The new iPad Pro has a rear-facing 12-megapixel camera which can record videos in 4K 60 FPS and take some amazing photos. Hey guys, what's going on? So right now I'm recording this video from the iPad Pro at 4K 60 FPS, and in theory you could use this for vlogging because the camera is really good. But again, you don't want to do that because in public using an iPad looks really stupid. And has a front-facing 7-megapixel camera for those real crisp FaceTime calls. But there is more to this front-facing camera than meets the eye. Due to the extra sensors for Face ID, the new iPad Pro has portrait mode on it. Now that we are on the subject of Face ID on the new iPad Pro is lightning fast and works in any orientation. In my opinion, it is the fastest biometric security measure I have ever seen. Just double click the space bar and boom, you now have access to your new iPad Pro. Finally, we are done with the overview of the iPad Pro. Now, let's move on to the accessories. Let's start off with the Smart Keyboard Folio. The Smart Keyboard Folio at its core is a keyboard. So how is the typing experience on it? Personally, I love this keyboard's typing experience. It has these really nice tactile keys which are covered in this very inviting soft touch fabric material which gives you a very good typing experience. The new Smart Keyboard Folio also now covers the front and the back of the iPad Pro because of the position change of the smart connector. It has two viewing angles, one which is meant for using when you're sitting at a desk and the other is when you have your Pro on your lap. The only downside of this keyboard is that the keyboard is not backlit, which you expect it to be there on a keyboard which is $200. Now let's talk about the most essential accessory for the new iPad Pro, the Apple Pencil. This year the Apple Pencil has gotten itself a major redesign and hardware change. First of all, the pencil, now more than having a glossy finish, has a super grippy matte finish which allows you to use the pencil for a long period of time. The pencil still has all of your sensors, but now rather than having a bulky case on your iPad Pro or tossing your pencil into the backpack, you can now magnetically attach the pencil to your iPad Pro, and for a bonus, once it is attached, it automatically starts charging. So your Apple Pencil is always there for you when you need it. The Apple Pencil also has haptic sensors built into the front of it, which allows you to do some pretty cool Apple Pencil shortcuts. Like in the Notes app, where you can double tap to switch between your sketching tool and your eraser, which allows you to get your work done faster. So how has my experience with the new iPad Pro been? Well, first of all, I use my iPad Pro as my main video and photo editing machine for my YouTube channel. So when it comes to editing 4K video, the A12X handles it like a pro. I'm able to scrub through 4K footage in real time, which is insane for a device this thin. And with the app like LumaFusion, I'm able to do some really good edits on the go and at home. The Apple Pencil and the Smart Keyboard Folio also help me during my video editing, as my Apple Pencil is my precise pointing device which allows me to get those really precise cuts and trims, whereas the Smart Keyboard allows me to get my editing done faster through the inbuilt keyboard shortcuts built into LumaFusion. This app is no joke because creatives like Jonathan Morrison, Henny the Business have actually used this app with the new iPad Pros for some serious professional video editing. LumaFusion is basically the Final Cut Pro for iOS, and it is the best app out there if you're planning to get the iPad Pro for video editing. For photo editing, I use myself a variety of apps from Adobe, like Adobe Lightroom, Fix, Express and Mix, which cater to all of my photo editing needs. I also script all of my videos on the iPad Pro, and the Smart Keyboard plays an integral part in it. Because of those soft touch keys, I'm able to type on this iPad Pro for hours on end. It is that good, which allows me to get you guys some awesome tech reviews. Now a lot of you might be asking, what about gaming on the iPad Pro? And there is only one word for it: awesome. That 7-core GPU really pushes the boundaries of mobile gaming. Games like PUBG Mobile and Hero Hunters really take full advantage of this GPU. So here are a few gameplay snippets recorded directly on the iPad Pro.
Alright! Oh yeah!
Now I do love the new iPad Pro a lot because it doesn't hinder my workflow at all, but there are a few downsides that I would like to address about the iPad Pro. If these downsides are worked upon, it can really change the iPad Pro by a long shot. First of all, the iPad Pro should support all USB storage devices. Currently, the iPad Pro does not have any support for external hard drives. It does have support for flash drives, but even then, it can only import photos and videos to the iPad Pro rather than every type of data on the flash drive like movies and documents. And you also can't really put anything on the flash drive through the iPad Pro. Secondly, support for a proper secondary display. The iPad Pro does support an external display, but you can't really use it as a secondary display as it mirrors only your iPad screen. The third thing is that they need to have a proper file management system which allows you to store anything on the iPad Pro and should be able to read USB hard drives and flash drives with ease. And the final thing that they should add to the iPad Pro are graphically intensive games with great gameplay and, depending on some other games, great stories. So they can take full advantage of that 7-core GPU and give an awesome mobile gaming experience. Give those games some controller support and boom, you have yourself a very sleek and powerful portable gaming machine. I personally think that the iPad is not exactly a laptop replacement. It is very similar to a laptop, but at the same time very different from it. The iPad Pro is a completely different computing device. It is an alternative to a laptop. So when you're getting an iPad Pro, you have to go for the alternative rather than going for the traditional laptop method. My workflow is smooth with this iPad Pro. I record my videos in 4K on my iPhone 7, transfer the footage from the iPhone 7 to the iPad Pro through the USB Type-C port, edit the video on lumafusion, then airdrop my thumbnail and edit it through Lightroom, and then upload the video to YouTube. For the things I do, I personally don't require a laptop because the iPad Pro takes care of all my needs. For it to become a proper computer, they need to add the things that I mentioned above. You see, the hardware is there, but the software is not there yet. Now this is where iOS 13 comes into play. So you might be wondering, what does iOS 13 have to do with the new iPad Pro's lacking features? Well, if you have been following Apple, you know that all of these issues were to be sorted out with iOS 12. But due to Apple changing its focus from features to make iOS more stable, all of those features have now been shifted to iOS 13. So if the leaks are correct, then in WWDC 2019, we may get all of our issues fixed. So is this iPad Pro really worth the $800 starting price tag? Well, you see, I went with the 256 gig model rather than the $800 64 gig variant, because I wanted to make this iPad Pro a future-proof purchase. And the 256 GB model plus the Smart Keyboard Folio and the Apple Pencil gets really pricey. My total amount including the screen protector and the USB dock was 1,18,000. For that price, you can get yourself some really insane laptops or even build yourself a next level productivity PC. But the iPad Pro is for those people like video/photo editors, artists, programmers who want a lot of power in a thin and light chassis that gets the work done. There might be a few workarounds, but at the end of it, you get your results. Well guys, that's all for today. Tell me down in the comments below, what do you think about the new iPad Pro, and if you're planning to make it as your daily driver. If you liked the video, then please leave a big fat thumbs up on it. But if you loved it, then please subscribe to the channel to see more content just like this one. And as always, I'll be signing off for today and I'll see you in the next one.